Yes, it's midday here in Nigeria. A warm welcome to you wherever you're watching us from. This is Lunchtime Politics on Channels Television. I am Bukola Koka, and here are our main stories for the day. President Bola Tinubu is expected back in Nigeria today after his first official visit to France for the Global Financial Summit and a short stopover in London. The Governorship Election Petition Tribunal in Lagos State admits in evidence Governor Sanwo-Olu's West African Examination Council WAEC certificate. Akwa Ibom State government awards 1 million naira education fund for physically challenged students in the state. Thank you for staying tuned. President Tinubu is expected back in Nigeria today in time to celebrate the Eid al-Kabir festival with family and friends. The president concluded his official trip to France on Friday for the Global Financial Pact Summit, after which he stopped over in London for a private visit. The special advisor to the president on special duties, communication and strategy, Mr. Alia, had in a statement said the president had an outstanding participation in the summit, during which investors were looking favorably at Nigeria following the administration's fast-paced policies. The president also held high-profile sideline meetings with fellow heads of state and government, global business leaders, and chief executives of leading multilateral and development finance institutions from around the world. Meanwhile, Mr. Alaki also disclosed that the president has welcomed an investment of $520 million in specialized agro-processing zones by the African Development Bank, AFDB, when he received the president of the institution, Mr. Akinwumi Adesina, after the two-day summit on a new global financing pact in Paris. Taraba State Governor Mr. Abuf Kefas has threatened to merge ministries in the state civil service from 45 ministries to 20 to ensure effective training and results from civil servants across the state. The move, according to the governor, is to have more directorates and division of labor that will lead to specialization instead of quackery and existence of ghost workers. He spoke when he had a closed-door meeting with permanent secretaries of various ministries in the state civil service.
Trying to be specific in our dealings, that we need for us to merge some of the ministries for proper result. So I will have more directorates, departments. We have departmental heads. It will help you to train and retrain people to be able to know and carry out their job effectively. So you have plenty commissioners. Some of them could be confused along the line. They won't understand what you're talking about. But when you have a permanent secretary in the ministry with 4, 3, 6 directorates, and there's division of labor and specialization, you see, it becomes more effective. And so we are working on that. We'll see, consult some of you so that we'll get the best out of what we're doing.
The Akwa Ibom State government has instituted a 100 million naira education intervention fund to assist the physically challenged students of Akwa Ibom origin and other displaced students residing in the state and studying in public tertiary institutions. The state governor, Pastor Omo Eno, announced this when he granted audience to the University of Uyo chapter of the National Association of Students with Disability, led by the president, Comrade Emmanuel Wisdom, who were on a courtesy visit at the government house.
the fiscally challenged ones amongst us want to go to school, the least we can do is to support them. We want to, the zeal you have to go to the university and study must be encouraged. Yeah, because we need to set up a fund, an immediate fund that both ministries will manage. The Accountant General will look at it and the SSG will facilitate it. We'll put 100 million naira into that fund immediately to support all disabled or physically challenged students in tertiary institution.
In fact, the moment he announced me, tears of joy dropped off my eyes. So I'm really, really grateful to God and to His Excellency, Pastor Mobaseno.
And all is now set for the filing of the contempt suit threatened by the 23 suspended local government council chairmen in the state against the governor, Hyacinth Alia, his directive for them to hand over the reins of power. The state chairman of the Association of Local Governments of Nigeria, ALGON, who doubles as Guma local government chairman, Mr. Mike Uba, in a telephone conversation with our correspondent in Makurdi, explains that they are left with only a legal option to stop the usurpation of the powers of the third tier of government. Mr. Uba adds that the activities of both parties in the suspension saga has generated interest in the Benue political space to the point that all the parties are reviewing their actions. But what will put a stop to the alleged illegal suspension is a judicial process which hopefully will put the matter to an end. And in the last few weeks, there has been a brewing administrative crisis between the tiers of government in the state as the 23 local government chairmen have vowed not to obey the governor's directive to proceed on suspension as recommended by the State House of Assembly. They say they have briefed their lawyers to file a contempt suit against the state government for failing to respect an earlier injunction restraining it from sacking them from office. And joining us to discuss this further, the impasse between the local government tier and executive arm of government in Benue State is the Governor's Chief of Staff, Mr. Paul Biam. Thank you for joining us, Mr. Biam.
Thank you very much.
So this has been on for a few days now. The local government chairmen have maintained their stance. They say they are not a living office, that their sack is unconstitutional. Let me read for you a statement from the court order that they're quoting. We equally defer to the judgment of the National Industrial Court holding in Makurdi, which barred the government of Benue State at all levels from taking any action that seeks to temper our lawfully recognized mandate as elected council chairman. So, Mr. Biam, this seems clear enough that the court order bars the executive arm and indeed the legislative arm of government from taking any action that would tamper with their constitutional right as an elected arm of government. Hello. Mr. Biam, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, but I didn't hear the concluding part of the question. But so the one I heard is where the local government chairmen are questioning the legality of their suspension.
So the court order seems clear enough that it bars you from taking any action inimical to their constitutional right as an elected arm of government.
Yes, let me quickly ask whether you have the order of the court complete there with you. Well, but if you don't have, I have gone through the order of the court, not minding whether it was served on the Speaker or the House of Assembly. But an aspect of the judgment says that suspension or sacking will be done only through the rightful, viable legal process. Now, what is viable here and what is legal? Because that is part of the judgment. If you have it there, I would employ you and enjoin you to read throughout. You get this clause that the judgment also allows the House of Assembly only to carry out suspension by using due process. Due process, what does it entail? When we came in as a government, this chairman were already in existence. At what point was this judgment given? Not even minding the period that it was given, the government came in and met them in power and had an interface with them. You will appreciate that a new government usually takes stocks of what the previous administration has left behind. And we found out from the complaints and ministerial briefings that we got from the permanent secretaries who are now in charge of ministries and other parastatals. And we discovered that there was management, a gross mismanagement of public funds. And we set in to begin to find out, not really investigating what went wrong, who did this act. And so it got to a position that we needed to also go to the Bureau, where the local government chairman reports to. The advisor or permanent secretary in charge of Bureau of Local Government and Chieftaincy Affairs is responsible on the day-to-day interface and running of local administration. The chairman of various local government report to them or onward report to the governor. And so we summoned them and requested the chairman through the office of the permanent secretary in the Bureau to bring to government a statement of income and expenditure within a particular period of time. It is rather sad because I am not appearing physically. I would have also tendered reports. What was submitted by this local government chairman with their hands through the governor, because the government, the executive do not have the power of oversight over local government. It is a House of Assembly. And so when they submitted to the governor, it was specifically handed over to me for onward transmission to the Assembly. And due diligence was followed. And we forwarded this for further investigation and review of what they brought. An ad hoc committee was set. I'm beginning to tell you about due diligence here. An ad hoc committee was constituted. This report was forwarded and it was reviewed. In the review, what the House of Assembly ad hoc committee discovered was very staggering and embarrassing to entire people of Benue State. What would be a result if you submit something by yourself and it is found out in the same document that you gave government that there were certain expenditures that could not be accounted for? And so the House, in its wisdom again, sat and reviewed and tendered the report.
But Mr. Biam, you said what the House discovered was staggering. But it would seem that anywhere you turn, the law appears to favor the local government chairman, because the law that they are quoting also says that if the governor finds anything in the conduct of the local government chairman that is detrimental to the corporate existence of the state or the local government, he shall submit details of such to the State House of Assembly. So having done that, is it inimical to public peace in Benue State?
No, it is not. We are talking of due diligence. I first of all established the fact that what you are reading from, the judgment also allow that chairmen of local government elected officers could only be punished if due diligence. You are forgetting that aspect of the judgment. Please, I refer you to that judgment. I'm trying to establish how due diligence was carried out in the process of suspending them. They are only suspended after the report that they submitted by themselves was found to have some very damaging mismanagement of public funds.
I'm not quoting from the judgment now. I'm not quoting from the judgment. This is from the Constitution, Section 7 or Section 8, I believe, which the Assembly and the executive arm of government, the conditions that the executive arm of government must meet before it recommends the suspension or sack of the local government. So go ahead. What
is due diligence here? If the House, in her wisdom, that have oversight functions on local governments, and including the Ministry for Local Government, if they have looked into documents and requested for additional time to continue to probe into the records, to establish the level of damage that those local government chairmen and entire councils have caused, and have recommended to the governor for these people to be suspended in order to allow them time to look into this for fair adjudication and fair hearing. Is it too bad that the governor can grant, given what the constitutional provision says? Because it is not damaging, because you are suspending them also for public interest. The interest is that some things have been found, but they have not been totally exhausted. Can you please step aside and allow us to look into this thing more genuinely and establish the level of damage that has been caused? So I do not know where the governor erred, even if it's application of the constitutional provision. The governor was simply carrying out his duty to allow members of assembly whose responsibility is to oversight the local government as established, whether the administration has a question to answer or not. And so, governor is bound when he is faced with a situation that is detrimental to his state to also grant that such an exercise be taking place, which is justly, which is fair, and which is just what we have done in Benue State. What do you say?
Mr. Biam,
what do you say?
Mr. Biam, the alleged misconduct here is not in doubt, but are you also aware that in the case of Makinde and Masari in 2021, between these executives and local governments, the Supreme Court, in a landmark judgment, stopped executives from sacking elected local government officials? Are you aware of this?
Yes, but are we sacking here? Are we actually sacking or we're suspending? Do you know the interpretation of sacking somebody, which completely takes that person off the seat, which also nullifies whatever that was legitimately done? Here we are talking of suspension. Suspension is a temporary measure. It's a temporary measure to allow us.
But more often than not, within the Nigerian context,
are you satisfied that this is not sacking?
Is the way to the final exit door, more often than not.
Yeah, but would it also be proper when you are investigating somebody and you allow the person to also tamper with the investigation? Would that be correct? And so what is bad? Because nobody has ever used the word other than everything. We say suspension. Nobody has ever used this word.
Okay, there are more questions to ask Mr. Biam, also to find out what the status of administration of the local governments is right now. Have they handed over, pending their, the investigation, to the vice chairman of the local government or to an administrative secretary? But it appears that is an ongoing conversation. Well, I hear Mr. Biam is back now. So, Mr. Biam, if you can hear me now. Mr. Biam, if you can hear me now, what's the status of administration of those local governments while the debate on the propriety of their sack continues?
The resolution by the State Assembly is that they should step aside and allow administrative officers who are referred to as DGSAs, Directors of General Administration and Services. Now, these are the most senior persons, they are the accounting officers of local government. And so please hand over to them, you elected officers, who have, by evidence, contravened financial regulations and guidelines. Hand over to these people and give us time to fully investigate into this matter and come out with a result. Now, do not forget, this is a public issue. That is a public delay. Why will you refuse to oblige with the resolution of the House signed by an executive governor of the state? Do they have the powers? Yes. Does the State Assembly have the power oversight to check whether you have mismanaged public funds? Yes. Do they have the power to recommend to a governor to suspend you, to allow them way to look into the books? Yes. Now, have we actually sacked? Let's get back to the basis of the question. No. Have we sacked? Have the executive unilaterally asked the chairman to proceed on suspension? No. Were the assembly not giving the documents? Did they not bring the report to the plenary? Was it not debated? Was the decision of the majority not taken? These are the issues. Now, if a chairman decides to go against the law, because the House of Assembly has the powers in the Constitution to oversight them and regulate their proceedings and procedures. Do not forget this. Who oversight them? Who looks after them? Who allocates money to them? Who even makes laws on their behalf? It's the House of Assembly. This is also a constitutional matter. So if you refuse to proceed on suspension, then whose chairman are you? Let me also ask you a question. Whose chairman are they now?
Rightly so, Mr. Biam. It is indeed a constitutional matter, and the debate on the propriety of their sack continues. And, we expect that the local government chairman will be given fair hearing by the committee, the State Assembly Committee, investigating their alleged misappropriation of funds while they held office. Thank you very much, Mr. Paul Biam, for your time and contribution on the program.
And let them be reminded that
the chief of staff
beyond the sack order is illegal. It's completely illegal if they refuse to proceed on the suspension, which was diligently carried out.
Yes, indeed, Mr.
Biam.
Thank you very much. Mr. Biam is the Chief of Staff to the Governor of Benue State, Governor Hyacinth Alia. And still to come on Lunchtime Politics, the Governorship Election Petition Tribunal in Lagos State admits in evidence Governor Sanwo-Olu's WAEC certificate. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Welcome back. The Lagos State Governorship Election Petition Tribunal has admitted in evidence a West African Examination Council certificate said to have been presented by the institution to Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu in 1981. The certificate was tendered before the tribunal by an official of WAEC, contrary to claims by the People's Democratic Party PDP and its governorship candidate Olajide Adediran, popularly known as Jandor, that Governor Sanwo-Olu did not possess a WAEC school leaving certificate. The official, Adekombi Olaolu, who described himself as a lawyer from the legal department of WAEC, presented in evidence a document of a May-June O-level result bearing the name of the governor and issued in 1981 by one Ijebu-Ife Community Grammar School. Lead counsel to the petitioner, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, Clement Onwuono, who had subpoenaed the official to testify, immediately told the tribunal that the evidence of the witness was adverse to its earlier findings, wherein a search on WAEC's online result verification portal had indicated the absence of the governor's names and result. Counsel also applied to the tribunal for leave to cross-examine the witness in order to challenge the accuracy of the WAEC official's evidence. INEC's counsel, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, Adetunji Oyeyipo, in his response, described the petitioner's grouse as a storm in a teacup. Counsel to Governor Sanwo-Olu and his deputy, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, Moise Banire, aligned himself with INEC's position. Counsel to the All Progressives Congress, Counsel, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, Abiodun Owonikoko, on his part, said the option for the petitioner to cross-examine the witness is foreclosed, as he has already ended his examination in chief with the witness. But Olalekan Ojo, who is counsel to the Labour Party's candidate, Gbadebo Rhodes Viver, urged the tribunal to grant the petitioner's request, saying the witness was being hostile to the truth and exhibiting animosity. In its ruling, the tribunal held that the petitioner could not cross-examine the witness and that the exhibit containing the findings from the portal couldn't be linked to WAEC directly. The tribunal ordered that only the respondents could cross-examine the WAEC official. Under cross-examination, the witness told the tribunal that Governor Sanwo-Olu was found to have been entitled to a certificate issued by the school in question and that the online portal didn't exist as at 1981. Justice Arum Ashom has adjourned further hearing in the petition till July the 4th. A coalition of youths and women political groups from the All Progressives Congress in Kogi State has charged its members and supporters to collect their permanent voter cards in order to deliver votes for Usman Ododo, the governorship candidate of the party. Leader of the coalition group, Yakubu Adabenege, stated this in Lokoja, the state capital, during a solidarity walk and the house-to-house campaign for the candidate's party. The group promised to deliver the candidates through a rigorous campaign and sensitization of the public on the collect, and they said they're resolute to deliver the candidates whom they described as vibrant, experienced, and who will carry the state to an enviable height.
Irrespective of your local government, irrespective of your tribe, we are together, we are one. That is what our leader preached to us. That is what we are trying to maintain every day and night. We are with him. On his mandate, we stand. On his mandate, we stand. On his mandate, we stand. We don't have any other mission rather than to say thank you, His Excellency Alia. He didn't fit that we do youth, we can succeed in. For him to have that zeal, for him to have that decision to choose his successor as a youth, that's why we decided to take up this work. To say His Excellency Alia, thank you. There's no another thing, we don't have another plan, we don't have another thing to affect his candidacy. But for the fact that you people are out today to support this plan, we want to say thank you all. And I want to beg you that please and please, everybody knows the joker. What is the joker? The PVC. 15 November 11th.
The Speaker of the House of Representatives, Right Honorable Tajuddin Abbas, believes that unless Nigeria strengthens its rule of law and the fight against corruption, the country would go nowhere. This was contained in a statement from the Office of the Speaker, signed by Special Advisor on Media, Musa Kirshi. According to the statement, the Speaker made the comment at a reception organized in his honor by the Nigeria High Commission in London on Sunday night, where he advocated for a review of the country's laws to give everyone a sense of justice and fairness. One of such ways, according to Honorable Abbas, would be to look at the living wage of workers with a view to enhancing it to make them more honest and transparent in their dealings. And you have been served on Lunchtime Politics for today. Thank you so much for watching. Join us again, same time tomorrow for another edition. I am Bukola Koka. Bye for now.